Hello, welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. What's happening, everybody? I hope you guys are doing good today. I know my day's going great. I'm excited to get back into get back into reading this book with you guys, and it's the book, "The Cosmic Power Within You." This book right here, and we've been reading it for the past week or so. I've been reading a chapter of the book every day, and we're up to chapter 11. And last video, I kind of skipped reading because I kind of wanted to change it up a little bit, you know what I mean? And but we're going to continue back and get back on it. And just to kind of summarize a little bit of the book so far. This book is a book by Mr. Joseph Murphy, and it's Dr. Murphy, and Dr. Murphy is he's a really good writer, you know what I mean? And he's got a lot of stories, and the thing about the book is that he composed this book with just stories of people that have gone to him for help, you know what I mean? And who have gone to him for some sort of, healing perhaps, maybe it's it was just a mental, maybe physical thing. I have no idea, but all I know is that the stories that he translates in this book and shares with us are very, very helpful, very, very powerful, of how the divine cosmic power of manifestation in the sense, and also just living in the here and now, you know what I mean, and exercising a spiritual connectedness with the divine power, the divine cosmic power of our universe, of our Mother Earth, and of the divine power of what I call God. You know what I mean? And my God is the God that I perceive, and the one that comes out of my mind. And the God that comes out of my mind may not be the God that comes out of yours. You know what I mean? My God may be absolutely different from yours, but nonetheless, we all strive for the same thing. It's so weird like that everybody has their own interpretation of God, right? But we all have the same purpose. We are all reaching that same goal. We are all striving for that same affirmation, if you will, from a divine source, right? So this book has been really helpful in that, in kind of touching a little bit on different types of people. You know what I mean? And ultimately, that's where we get our knowledge from. That's where we get our wisdom from. That's where we get to where we are in life, is through the actions and stories of somebody else. You know what I mean? Everything that you do in your life, you've learned from somebody else's mind. You know what I mean? How that to me is just incredible, because if you're in an environment that is toxic, well, then guess what? That is exactly what your life is going to be like, toxic. And man, and me being an addict, and a grateful recovering addict at that, is when I relapsed, man, and I was in the relapse. I relapsed from being sober. I had a 10-year stint of sobriety at one point in my life, and I relapsed. I relapsed for 5 years, and in that particular time, it was tough. It was tough because I was in this whirlwind of just toxicity and negativity that I couldn't get myself out of. And it wasn't until I sought out a divine intervention, if you will, that I was able to, that the smoke was able to clear from me, if you will. And I'm just grateful that I'm here on this journey now, you know what I mean? And there you go, reading a book and sharing stories from other people, not only my own, because after I read, I'll summarize and give you my input on what we read, and related to to my own personal experiences, right? So, and nonetheless, we're going to get started on reading this book from the chapter 11 and see what it's got to tell us and see what we get out of it. And but before we get that part of the video started, if you would please join me in a moment of silence followed by the serenity prayer for the addict who still suffers, and for those of us who are still in the struggle of any and everything that keeps us bound down. So if you would join me in a moment of silence. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, wisdom to know the difference. All right, well, I'm going to remove these glasses because I can't read without these glasses. And here we go. Chapter 11. And this chapter 11 is titled The Magic of Faith in the Cosmic Power. Okay, it says, faith is a way of thinking. It is a constructive mental attitude or feeling of confidence that what you are praying for will come to pass. Faithful, as mentioned in the Bible, does not refer to faith in any particular creed or religion, persuasion. Rather, it refers to faith in the laws of your mind, which each of you can learn and apply. Actually, you do everything by faith. You learn how to drive your car by repeating certain thought processes and muscular actions over and over again, while after a while, the driving becomes habitual. And there is an automatic reflex action from your subconscious whereby you find yourself driving your car without any conscious effort. In the same way, you learn to walk, to dance, to type, to swim, to perform many other activities. For example, the farmer has faith that the seed he has deposited into the ground will grow after its kind. He has faith in the laws of agriculture. The electrician has faith that the electricity will respond to the laws of conductivity and insulation, and he knows that it flows from a higher to a lower potential. Edison had an idea for a phonograph. He proceeded to bring it to pass by having faith in the execution of his invisible idea. You have faith when you know that thoughts are things. What you feel, you attract, and what you imagine, you become. The next part here goes, it's titled, Everyone Has Faith in Something. It is true that everyone has faith in something. The atheist has basic faith in the laws of nature, in the principles of electricity, chemistry, and physics. What is your faith? Let it be faith in all things good, a joyous expectancy of the best, and a firm belief inscribed in your heart that the cosmic power will lead you out of your difficulty and show you the way. Have a firm conviction in the healing power of God to make you physically and mentally whole. This faith will enable you to walk over the waters of fear, doubt, worry, and imaginary dangers of all kinds. The next story is titled, How Faith Paid Off $25,000 in Mortgage. As I was writing this chapter, I had an interesting conversation with a man from North Carolina whose life, by faith and courage, became amazingly different, he said. After reading your book, Your Infinite Power to Be Rich, I decided to take God as my partner, realizing that God is my higher power, is my higher self, or the living spirit within me. I talked to this invisible presence and affirmed, you are my partner, and I am going to ask you to guide and direct and prompt me in all ways. We are now a team and we can't fail. This young man told me that he had lacked the courage to go into business for himself after praying in the above manner and affirming his union with the divine presence within him. A new wave of strength and confidence had surged up within him. He made a small down payment on a restaurant, and with the magic qualities of faith and courage, he paid off the mortgage of the $25,000 by the end of the first year. His relatives had told him he didn't have a chance and he would go broke, but he realized deep within himself that nothing could defeat him, as he possessed the priceless quality of faith in the cosmic power within him to watch over him in all his ways. His secret was that he held on tenaciously to the idea that his senior partner would advise him and prosper him until his subconscious mind had absorbed the idea and had brought it to pass. The next story is titled, How to Increase Your Faith in Your Power to Realize Your Desire. You increase your faith when you realize that your desire, idea, plan, or dream is real, even though invisible. The power with certainty that the idea is real, that it is in fact your mind, gives you faith and enables you to rise above confusion, negation, strife, and fear to place of conviction deep in your own heart. The next story is titled, How a Playwright Used the Magic of His Faith in the Cosmic Power. During a recent lecture tour in Minneapolis, a young man visited me in the hotel and showed me a play which he had written. I read part of it and found it to be extremely interesting and fascinating, but his conflict was that everywhere he submitted it for approval and acceptance, he received a rejection slip. He added that he was getting a rejection complex. I suggested to him that he change his attitude. He had to realize that the idea of the play came out of his mind, that the idea was as real as his hand, and that if the manuscript were lost or destroyed, he could write another one. The ideas were like seeds, and that we don't give vitality to the seed. It has its own method of unfoldment within it, and all that we do is deposit seed in the ground, knowing that it will grow. We may water and fertilize the seed, but we can't make it grow. He began to look upon his play as a divine seed idea, just the same as the idea of a radio is real in the mind. And the inventor of, or the idea of the news skyscraper is real in the mind, and of an architect. It is not an idle daydream. An idea has form, shape, and substance in another dimension of mind. He began to affirm boldly, infinite intelligence gave me the idea of play. It is a good play, and I will aspire and uplift mankind. I accept the fact now that the creative intelligence within me, which originated this idea, opens up the door for its perfect fulfillment. I know what the law of attraction is working for me, and I am now attracting the right people who will accept, promote, and produce this play. I release my request to my deeper mind, and I know that just as a seed deposited in the soil grows, expands, and unfolds, so will my desire deposited in my subconscious mind bring about the perfect unfoldment and manifestation of my play. In due course, I received a wonderful letter from this young man saying that he met a motion picture director from Beverly Hills on the local golf course, and that during the game, he discussed briefly the play he had written. The director was interested and asked to read it. He was fascinated by it and entered into an agreement with the younger man to produce the play, and he had made arrangements for the talent, the producer, and all other essentials. This is the this is the great law of attraction based on faith in the creative intelligence and courage to act upon this faith, which brings answers to your prayers. Faith is trust. You trust your mother when you were in her arms. You looked into her eyes. You saw love there. Your faith in the cosmic power, which is all wise, all powerful, and all love, should be even greater. That was your faith in your mother. The next story is titled Self-Doubt and Fear Conquered Through Faith in the Cosmic Power. Some months ago, I talked to a man from Wyoming who had been offered a big promotion which necessitated his moving to San Francisco. He said that he was bogged down with fear, anxiety, and a sense of inferiority, and that he felt he couldn't accept that he was sure he would fail to live up to their expectations. In other words, he was halted by self-doubt. He said that something kept welling up in his mind and whispering to him, "You can't do it." I explained to him the source of the whispering pointing out that it came from those same fears, anxieties, inferiorities, and self-doubts which had been deposited in the deeper layers of his subconscious mind, probably dating back to childhood, and that these negative thoughts dominated, controlled, and obsessed him. I gave him a simple formula which acts as a wonderful mental catharsis and is highly effective when practiced sincerely and systematically. I explained to him that if he had a pail of dirty water, he could have clean water in a little while by continuing to pour in clean water. Likewise, he was now to fill his mind with the following healthy ideas which would grow out of his mind all the negative thoughts which were lodged there. This prayer was recommended, and it goes like this. I have absolute faith in God and all things. I am one with the cosmic power, and one with God is a majority. I know that God and the universe are for me and nothing is against me. I am absolutely fearless, as I know the thing I might fear does not exist. It has no power. It has only a shadow in my mind, and a shadow has no power. I am full of faith and confidence. I have the courage to meet all problems head on and overcome them through the wisdom and power of God within me. God's power is within my thoughts of good. I am immersed in the divine presence. God's love fills my soul, and his river of peace flows through me. There is no fear in love, for love and recognition of the one power casts out all fear. Every moment of my life I am growing in faith, courage, and confidence, and I feel the power of the Almighty flowing through me now. I am at peace. That's a wonderful prayer. Goes on to say, the mind, like nature, absorbs a vacuum, and as this young man began to fill his mind with the above spiritual thoughts for about 10 minutes each morning, afternoon, and night, he succeeded in washing out of his mind all the fearful, anxious thoughts which had been holding him for years in the thrall room and bondage of inferiority and doubt. Following this technique of meditation, he accepted the promotion in San Francisco and was transformed by the renewal of his mind, his courage to meet the situation and to tackle the fears and cast them out was the first step in his triumphant journey to success, promotion, and greater income. It was Shakespeare who said, "Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt." Next story goes on to say, it's titled, How Faith in Cosmic Power Wrought a Health Miracle. Here is a letter from Chicago that is most striking. Dear Dr. Murphy, My boy was stricken with a very severe case of polio. He was unconscious and in an iron lung for some time. The doctor encouraged me to pray. I read The Miracle of Mind Dynamics over and over again. I applied these various prayers you have given in that book, and I fixed my mind on several quotations from the Bible. Before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. That's Isaiah 65:24. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trueth in thee. Isaiah 26:3. The faith have made thee whole. Matthew 9:22. If thou canst believe, all things are possible in him that believe. Mark 9:23. A merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance. Proverbs 15:13. I am the Lord that healeth thee. Exodus 15:26. It goes, what things soever you desire, when you pray, believe that you receive them, and ye shall have them. Mark 11:24. I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord. Jeremiah 30:17. I anchored my mind on these passages and on many more. I anchored my mind on these passages and many more, which I got from your writings. I continue to practice saturating my mind with these passages, and on the third day, I felt a deep, abiding sense of peace and tranquility. I looked at my boy's unconscious face and saw him smile at me, and I knew at that moment that God had answered my call. That happened 4 months ago. My boy's strength is gradually returning. The doctors had given me great encouragement, and I know that God is making him whole. You may use this letter using my initials only. Sincerely yours, L.J., Chicago, Illinois. Look at the magic and miracle working power of faith and trust of this woman who persevered in affirming the great truths of God. When all seemed hopeless, within you also are the courage, faith, and confidence you need to overcome any obstacle. Draw on the cosmic power for all your needs, and you will discover that you have the courage and the power to conquer that so-called insuperable and insurmountable barrier. The next story is titled, Within You is the Cosmic Power to Work Wonders in Your Life. You will be given courage, faith, and hope when you realize that you are a medium for the transmission of the cosmic power of God, Paul said. There is no power but of God, the powers that are ordained of God. Romans 13:1. For example, atomic power is of God. Man may use it in any way he wishes. Electrical energy is of God. The mighty gust of wind represents the power of God, the power that turns the earth on its axis and moves the planets and the galaxies in space. All of these mirror the cosmic power. You are one of the infinite power, and you can contact it through your thought. God indwells you, walks and talks in you, and is the very life of you. Acknowledge His power, unite with the presence, and becoming this moment of potential transmitter of wisdom, power, love, light, and truth. Don't ever say, I can't overcome these difficulties. I can't rise above the problem or challenge. Actually, what you are saying is that God can't meet the problem or reveal the solution, which is atheism and a denial of omnipotence. Affirm boldly, you can do all things. You can do all things through the cosmic power which responds to me and strengthens me in all ways. Wonders will happen in your life. The next story is titled, How the cosmic power healed a minister acute migraine attack. A minister friend of mine in San Francisco visited me some months ago and discussed his awful migraine headaches, adding often, I get one of these blinding, splitting headaches while giving a sermon on Sunday mornings. He stated that the special drug the doctor prescribes sometimes relieves, but sometimes brings no relief at all. Often, the minister said, I could scream with pain. He asked me to place my hands on his forehead, which I rarely do, and pray with him, which I did. He said to me, looking at your hands, I know they are transmission belts for the healing power of God. Then he quoted Mark 5:23, I pray thee that thou come and lay thy hands on her, and that she may be made whole, and that shall live, and she shall live. From Mark 6:5, he said, his hands upon a few sick folks and healed them. I placed my hands on his forehead and prayed as follows. Whatever is bothering you is leaving you now, and you are filled with the free-flowing, healing, harmonizing, vitalizing life of God. The cosmic power flows through my hands now, permeating every atom of your being, transforming every organ of your body into God's perfect pattern. The river of peace flows through you, and his ocean of love saturates your whole being. You are cleansed and made whole. God's love is touching you now, and we give thanks to your freedom. Both of us remained quiet for about 15 minutes with my hands resting on his head. We concentrated on the transfusion of God's grace and healing power. The minister felt a tremendous sensation of heat and tingling vibration all over his body. He perspired copiously. He exclaimed, I know I am healed and free. He has no recurrence and is completely free. This is the magic of faith in the cosmic healing power. Thy faith hath made thee whole. Matthew 9:22. It transcends the power of drugs when properly applied. And that is chapter 11. Man, that is a pretty good chapter. There's a lot of insight there on the mind. You know what I mean? On the actions that someone needs to take, or a recommendation, perhaps, of things that you could perhaps do if something is an obstacle in your life. You know, perhaps it's perhaps it's something at work. You know what I mean? Perhaps it's a decision you need to make. Perhaps it's something that you got to tell somebody and you just don't know how quite to do it. Perhaps it's taking that first step in asking for help if you're addicted to drugs or addicted to alcohol or whatever the addiction may be, and if you know in your mind and in your heart and your soul that you need help. Perhaps one of these stories, one of those prayers, is a way for you. You know, perhaps you being on this, watching this podcast right here, right now, is speaking to you that, you know, today is that day that perhaps you need to take that first step. You know, maybe it's just the acknowledgement of, hey, you know what, I need some help. I need help in whatever it is that you need help with, because, you know, we all need the help of something to get us to that next step. Whether it's the help of another person, whether it's the help of listening to somebody's story, maybe it's the help of just you meditating or coming into contact with yourself in silence and dissecting the issue that you have, because I can firmly tell you that the answers to most obstructions, to most obstacles, to most addictions is in the obstacle and the addiction and in whatever it is that you're having trouble with. The answer is usually in that struggle. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, when you get into silent mode with yourself and you speak to yourself as if you're speaking to God and speaking as though you know what it is that you need to do, then 9 times out of 10, man, you the answer comes. You know what I mean? I'm a strong believer in the cosmic energy of our divine power, man, that it is it's out there. And you and I have the ability to send that vibrational signal out to affirm, to get, to attain the transformation, the power, whatever it is that we need to transform our lives, to become this other person, to get, because ultimately whatever it is that you're having a trouble with, when you find the answer, you're a totally different person after that. You know what I mean? And I'm a firm believer in that, because the yesterday of you no longer exists. You know what I mean? The yesterday of me, myself, what I was doing yesterday and who I was yesterday no longer exists. You know what I mean? Because the what exists is me right here, right now. And what helps me move forward in my life, in recovery, in spirituality, and positivity, is the fact that I'm just like that dirty bucket of water in that story. The more you put water in there, the more you keep that water flowing in that bucket of dirty water, eventually it's going to be clean and useful to drink and to share. And that is the whole purpose here. Is this the same thing? Is that the more I fill my mind, my subconscious mind up with powerful, positive, and spiritual and intellectual things that I learn, that I get from other people. Just for an example, you know, I was at a Buddhist teaching earlier, a Kashi Roshi teaching this morning, and learning new things. You know what I mean? And for me, you know, it just keeps me on that path of spirituality, keeps me on that path of positivity. You know what I mean? And I don't only indulge in the Buddhist practice. I indulge in Christianity. I indulge in just I'm a person who loves to just get cultural insight from every being that I can. You know what I mean? And I believe if it's placed in front of me, if I happen to run into that, it's there for, I gotta pick it up, because it just didn't happen to be there. You know what I'm saying? It was there through the divine cosmic power of my divine higher power, that cosmic energy drove that subject to be in front of me, so I gotta learn it. And it's just like doing this podcast, you know what I mean? I had this vision in my mind of doing a podcast and sharing the message of spirituality, positivity, and recovery, and just helping people with life obstacles and struggles that I have personally gone through, and know a way out for those. And my way out could be your way out. You know what I mean? I have no idea. So when I share other people's stories, like it is in this book, I feel that it's my due diligence to share that, because if not, I would be doing you a disservice if I wasn't sharing, because that could be somebody's golden nugget. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just great to be able to do something like that, man. And I'm grateful, extremely grateful that I'm able to sit here and do a video like that, and to share a message that may help somebody. You know what I mean? So and that's the ultimate goal here, is of why I do it, is to help other people. You know what I mean? And if you know, and be an example. You know what I mean? I find it really, it's great to be here and not be here addicted. You know what I mean? Addicted to drugs, and you know, if you would have told me I would be doing a podcast video 2 years ago, I would have laughed at you. You know what I mean? I would have been like, "What the heck?" You know, I would have, you know, get out of here. You know what I mean? And people, you know, if I would have talked like that in the areas where I was at, they would have laughed at me. But you know, I'm grateful. I really, really, truly am grateful that I'm able to share that with you guys. And but anyway, I guess that's going to be it for today's video podcast. But if you would, please give me a thumbs up, shoot me a comment if you want anything you'd like to talk about, or if you got insight on some of the things that I read. You know, maybe you can share your story or whatever. Or if you'd like to be a guest, let me know. Shoot me a message. But and please, if you would, hit that subscribe button, man, because the more people that we could get, and just know that when you do hit that subscribe button, that it doesn't cost you a thing, and you'll be helping out another veteran, another homeless person, another person dealing with PTSDs, childhood traumatic experiences, drug and alcohol addiction, anger, depression, suicidal thoughts, all of those types of things, my friends, because I have personally dealt with all those things at one point in time in my life, and I do know that there's a way out. So that's why I share the message. And if you would, please subscribe to my channel and share it, and I greatly appreciate that. And I guess until the next time, man, on When the Smoke Clears, I am the Recovery Plug.